Toastmaster, fellow members and guests. We stand on the shoulders of giants. This was a quote that concluded every email sent by one of my computer science professors in college, and it stuck with me to this day, not only because of the broader socio-political and technological significance, but also for more personal reasons as well. I am where I am and who I am today because of the guiding influences of the many giants in my life. One of the more familiar of these giants is my father. As I approach my quarter life milestone, I'll be 25 on January 30th. I've come to realize just how much I've become like my father, or rather, how much I've been like him all along, and how big of an influence he's had on me as a father and a role model. I would be remiss to describe myself without mentioning the impact my father has had on me. I'd like to introduce myself by sharing some of these similarities and his life-shaping influences on me. I can't escape the influence of genetics, and as far as looks go, I'm a pretty good mix of both my mother and my father, but character-wise, I'm a lot like my dad. This is best seen in my personality and approach to life, my love of science and nature, and in my values and aspirations. My father is analytical, a deep thinker, logical, organized, driven to work hard and sacrifice for the good of the family. He is quiet yet wise, practical yet idealistic. He's somewhat reserved, but he's also known among his acquaintances for his unique and bold sense of humor. Plays on words and witty interjections are, in fact, both of our specialties. I give him credit for encouraging this in me. My sense of humor often surprises those around me, since it seems quite unexpected, given my quiet nature. Like my dad, I am also a deep thinker, a melancholic personality type. I'm always thinking, and I'm analytical almost to a fault. I have a tendency to worry about things, which is not always a good thing. And although it's a constant and effective source of motivation in planning for the future and working towards my goals. I think, as my dad appreciated when I was younger, when it came to discipline, that I have always tended to be harder on myself than either my mom or dad could ever be. I find comfort in and seek out organization, whether it be in my personal life, my goals, my finances, or even the refrigerator. Highly detail-oriented, I gravitate towards simplicity, a welcome respite from my at times overactive mind. Like my dad, I am curious by nature. Since I was very young, my dad has fostered my curiosity and fueled my love for science, which continues to be strong to this day. I remember a few key moments in my childhood and teen years that capture the fascination with science and natural order that my dad has instilled in me. Our father-daughter quality time is often spent discussing the wonders of the natural world, genetics, time, and space. When I was in kindergarten or first grade, I remember playing with my Tinker toys and Legos, and my dad came over and used the blocks as models to give me an intriguing lesson on the basic structure and function of DNA. I loved curling up on the couch and watching science documentaries with my dad, becoming familiar with evolution, the mysteries of the human brain and consciousness, and Stephen Hawking's theories of space and time. In high school, I developed a fondness for my dad's New Scientist and Scientific American magazines. They would often go missing somewhere between the mailbox and the house, and I'm guessing you have an idea where they ended up. I enjoy them to this day. Hanging out with my dad included, and still does include, the best mixtures of witty humor and philosophical discussions of science and religion. It was my love of science that led me to begin my college career at Furman University as a biology major. However, life has a way of changing my plans. While taking the liberal arts required courses, I happened upon computer science by accident. My first exposure to the subject was taking required courses, and I decided to pursue it further. My senior year, I began an internship with AMEC, the company I now work for as a web developer. I graduated with a degree in IT and Spanish. Sometimes I wonder just how I ended up as a web developer and aspiring programmer. But given my affinity for logic puzzles and given the effect that I have, or the feeling rather, when I write programs, it's really no surprise. As suggested by my Spanish major, I am a fan of languages, foreign culture, and travel. I studied abroad in Mexico and Spain, and have been to Japan twice. I was an active member of the International Student Organization at Furman, and made many friends from around the globe. Although the internet allows us to remain in contact, I do have to admit that it's tough to watch them go back to their home countries over the past few years. I also have a passion for art, in particular sketching and painting. And I'm currently starting on a sketchbook of mostly still life and landscapes, and I've recently gotten back into it after trying to get into the swing of my schedule with my career. To tie it all together, my dad is a great source of inspiration and encouragement for me. He has helped me become who I am today, to persevere through the challenges of everyday life, to keep pursuing my interests, and to enjoy life, and to try not to take everything too seriously all the time. My involvement in Toastmasters is quite a big challenge for me, since I am shy and tend to feel awkward and nervous when put in the spotlight. My hope is that by facing my fear of public speaking, it will be a good way for me to gain confidence in my skills and abilities, not just for my career, but also for my life in general. Hopefully it's a step that will allow me to one day take on more leadership roles and open up a new door to opportunities overall. I can only hope that one day I too can serve as such a strong positive influence in the life of someone else, as a volunteer or perhaps even one day as a parent myself. Mr. Toastmaster.